What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Happy Monday to you all, and welcome to another live beer review. Today we got a really cool one that of course, anything from Adroit Theory that I review is going to be a cool one, but this one is specifically really cool because this is a style of beer that I don't recall that I've ever had before, and it's a very, very unique and old kind of style of beer too. It's been around since the 1800s. This is one called black metal, which, if you didn't know, Adroit Theory came out with like a theme of beers where they based it off different genres of music. They have classic rock, they have a thrash metal, they have a death metal, and this one is their black metal, which that logo is just awesome, I think. And then this is just black metal as fuck, in my opinion. The upside down crosses and all that stuff, having like that old style of black metal like album art, and I think this is just really, really cool. It's an Altbier, which is very, very like I said before, it's a very, very old variant of a beer. It's been around, like I said, since the 1800s back in Germany, and this one comes out at a 4.9%, which I'm okay with. It's lower ABV, so I definitely consider this one sessionable for sure. But before we even crack into it, let's kind of look at the history of the Altbier, because it's, like I said, it's been around since the 1800s, and of course you can look at the name. It has its history back in Germany, so it's a German style beer style. In German, alt means old, and this is meant to be an illusion of the older style of brewing using top fermenting yeast. So a lot of beers that come out, especially when it comes to lager yeasts, they use bottom fermenting yeast, which are kind of just like, it's self-explanatory though. So this is a top fermenting yeast. So this is going to be very interesting. It ferments from the top and works its way down, of course, all that kind of stuff. So I'm curious what this kind of style is going to do. I've never had an alt beer before. Of course, with it being something similar to a lager, definitely going to thinking I'm going to get a lot of bready notes to this. It's going to be maybe a little bit of crisp, kind of maybe like refreshing notes in it. I've been seeing that sometimes you get notes of like dark stone fruit, so maybe you might get some plums and date kind of flavors in there, but I'm hoping there's going to be a good amount of breadiness, kind of being in that similar realm of a lager. So I'm excited to drink this one. So without further ado, let's crack this guy open and see what this thing's like on the nose. So let's see what we got. Yep, smells like a lager, that's for damn sure. Bready, has maybe like a slight bitterness, maybe a little slightly hopping going in there. Yeah, it smells like a pretty damn solid lager. So without further ado, let's pour this guy. Gonna be drinking this out of my New Texican Brewing Company little pint glass this afternoon. You can always get a hold of these if you hit up New Texican Brewing on Instagram. You can get yourself some, along with some home brewed beer that he does. So big shout outs to New Texican, my boy over there in Houston. But yeah, give this stuff a try. This stuff is absolutely fantastic. I've done a couple reviews on some of this stuff. So let's pour this guy and see what this thing's all about. Expecting like a pretty nice reddish kind of color to it, which that is exactly what I'm getting. It's almost like an amber kind of color to it. Very nice white head showing on there. Definitely has some carbonation going through this, but that is perfectly fine. This is a little heady boy, but that's perfectly okay. But look at the color of this guy. Almost, I wouldn't say it's clear, has a slight murkiness to it, but for the most part, it's definitely pretty clear. Has that nice kind of dark, almost dark amber color to it, which I really, really like. Oh yeah, definitely getting a lot of the maltiness coming through. That nice kind of almost a little bit of dark stone fruit coming through a little bit as well. But overall, this smells absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's give this guy a try. So cheers, everybody. Happy Monday to you all. Okay, there's definitely maltiness up front. You actually get a decent amount of bitterness to this as well, which is surprising. Definitely has some almost like bitter floral hoppiness to it. That makes it, yeah, not your average lager. Of course, when it comes to a lager, you're thinking of all kinds of bready notes that you would get and all that, but this one, you get the like slight malty breadiness up front, but then you kind of get that nice bitterness in the middle, and that kind of lingers for a while. So the bitterness is definitely the part that lingers the most with this. So it's like that slightly hopped. You get maybe like small hints of caramel, but definitely getting the flavors of breadiness, like biscuity breadiness, maybe like a little bit of like dark plum and date kind of flavors, but then that like hoppy bitterness that comes at the end is really, really nice. And it's overall pretty well balanced, I would say myself, and it's overall pretty damn solid. Yeah, that's good. That's definitely good. I don't know if this would be my go-to style of beer, but for it being a lager and kind of being my first beer of this style that I've had, I can appreciate it, and I think it's absolutely delicious. I'm not just saying that because Adroit Theory is my favorite brewery of all time. There's been times to where some of their beers have been okay. A lot of the times they're fantastic, but this is... I wouldn't consider this one of the best beers I've had from Adroit Theory, but it's a solid beer. So let's look here over on Untappd, and let's see what we can find about this guy. But if you can't get your hands on this Black Metal Ghost 968 from Adroit Theory, Untappd does a really cool thing to where they show similar beers to this kind of style. So let's look and see what kind of beers that Untappd is showing as similar beers for this guy. So we got one here from Big Storm Brewing Co. called the Rye of the Storm, Dry Hop Cluster, and Equinaut, which is an Altbier. So that one definitely looks a lot darker than mine. So that may be an option. Of course, having flavors of rye in there, if they add a rye to it, it's definitely going to have more of that little bit of a spice note to it. We got one here from Nave, N-A-V-E. Looks like it's where are these guys out of? Let's see. Okay, so this is a Brazilian brewery. This is their version of an Altbier. I don't even know what that says. So then we got one here from Captain Brew, which looks like a brewery out of Mexico. I'm assuming Captain Brew. Let's see. Oh no, it's another Brazilian brewery. So we got two Brazilian breweries showing up that I can't really say anything when it comes to the names of this guy, but that's okay. Then we got one here from Bad Weather Brewing Company from their Micro Burst series called Rye Sticky Alt, which is their version of Altbier. And Bad Weather Brewing Company is located in St. Paul, Minnesota. And of course they use rye in that one as well, so you're definitely going to get a little bit of a spice notice in there. I'm curious if they added rye into this one. I'm not 100% sure. But then the last one we got here is from Nebraska Brewing Company with their Punk Rock Altbier, which is another 5.1 and all that kind of stuff. And yep, so definitely bringing those small like notes of toasty caramel and all that kind of stuff, roasted notes a little bit, but then having that crisp, clean finish of like a nice bitter hoppiness that you would kind of sometimes get in like IPAs and all that kind of stuff, where it's just like more of those oily IPAs. You definitely get that kind of dry bitterness to kind of linger at the end. So it's like a nice mix of a lager and like a drier pale ale. So with that one, I think I might go with this Punk Rock Altbier from Nebraska Brewing Company to be the most similar, because it's, of course, the other ones have rye in there. Of course, with rye, you're going to have a little bit more spice notes in it. So it's not, I'm not really getting the spice notes in this, but I think with those, getting those deeper notes of like caramel, breadiness, and then having that kind of crisp, like hoppy finish, I think is pretty damn similar to what this would probably taste like. So I'm going to go with this Punk Rock Altbier from Nebraska Brewing Company as my most similar beer for this one I would choose. But let's look over here on Untappd again, and let's see what they show for a description along with the ratings and all that. So like I said before, it's a 4.9% ABV, which anything under a 7.5 to me is considered sessionable. You can have a few of these and be perfectly fine. And with over 1,092 ratings, this one has an average rating of 3.72 out of 5, which isn't bad for this style. Not bad at all. So let's see if there's anybody on my friends list who checked this one in. I don't think there is. Nope. But let's look here at the global rating and see what other people are saying. Yeah, it definitely has similar characteristics to a Bach Kentucky. It's pretty damn close. But I think for me, it's a little bit more of that hoppier bite at the end than a Bach would. To me, a Bach has like a little bit of a subtle hoppiness to it in it, but the more breadiness is predominant in a Bach, where this one's the slight breadiness up front with the kind of drier, herbal, floral hoppiness that lingers a lot longer at the end. So let's see what the global ratings on this guy are. So this guy gave it a 3.5, purchase at Hoppy House, which is looks like a beer store overseas, which I don't even know where that is. We got a rating of 4.25 out of 5, purchased from Tavor, which I think is how I got mine. I think, yeah, I'm recalling. Yeah, definitely got this one off of Tavor. Let's see, we got another 3.5 purchased at Hoppy House, which is another the place overseas. We got another 3.5 here at the Hoppy House. This guy gave it a 3.5 and purchased it at Adroit Theory Brewing Company, which is awesome. We got another 3.5 here purchase at Adroit Theory. We got another 3.5 purchase at Pine Shop, which I'm guessing is, another overseas little bottle shop, which I love seeing Adroit Theory's beers showing up overseas. I think that's just a really, really cool thing. They possibly got some pretty good distributors showing up over there, so plus having American beers show up in Europe and all that kind of stuff in Germany, it kind of shows like people overseas where we're going and what the style of beers that the U.S. can come out with, so I think that's really cool. Let's see what else we got here. We got another 4 here. And last one we're going to say about this one is he gave it a 4 out of 5, saying the first Altbier I've had tastes similar to a Belgian. Banana-y was nice. Not really getting much banana notes in this, but overall, I don't know if I consider it close to a Belgian. For me, Belgian ales definitely have that more of that spice forward where you're getting a lot of like almost savory kind of flavors in it as well. But let's read one more. Of course, this guy gave it a 4.25, purchased at Suds and Soda, which is a place in Derby, which I think is in the UK. And he said, wow, that's top notch. How do I describe a dark malt forward lager? Yep, very light mouthfeel with hints of caramel and stone fruits. I'm gutted, but that I only bought one. So yeah, he has got the right idea with that one. Lager notes, stone fruit, caramel notes. Even though I'm surprised he didn't mention the kind of like the lingering bitterness that comes up at the end. But overall, yeah, this beer is delicious. I'm a fan of this one for sure. Even though this is not my go-to style of beer, I still think it's absolutely delicious. So with all that being said, let's start going through and see what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end here. Let me see if I can pour the rest of this in without the head kind of going crazy. Or I can just drink a little bit more out of it. That works too. Yeah, it's solid. It's definitely a solid one, but like I said, not my go-to style of a beer. I can still appreciate what it's done for the past and all that stuff, but I'm still like a little bit more into the stouts, Belgian triples, Belgian doubles, and all that kind of stuff, and sours and all that. But overall, I can still appreciate a good beer. So let's see what we're going to be doing for ratings on our end over here. But first, we look at can art, which you always know, anything that Adroit Theory comes out with, usually the can art, you're expecting a full-on just a shit ton of detail, a lot of stuff going into it. And this definitely is another one of those. They kind of stuck to the theme of kind of making the label look like a black metal album cover, which I think they did a really good job. Of course, the logo just screams black metal to me, and then having that kind of font describing it has that kind of almost very gothic kind of look to it, and then just having the black and white upside down crosses, all that kind of stuff on there, the trees upside down, just having that really kind of spooky, eerie kind of feel to the can art. I just think it's really, really cool. So overall, yeah, with it being a black metal theme, and I'm a fan of black metal, of course, and then seeing how they kind of stuck with the labeling, kind of trying to get into that black metal theme of it. Yeah, they nailed it on the head. So it's easy 5 out of 5 for can art for this one. I'm a really, really big fan. This is definitely a can art I'm probably saving just because I want to have one of all the different music genre beers that they've came out with. I know I'm struggling. I need to get the classic rock one because that's like a Stairway to Heaven theme. But overall, yeah, definitely the can art in this one is phenomenal. So easy 5 out of 5 rating for can art for me. But let's see. If I got this beer in a flight at Adroit Theory, would I get another one? I'm going to be honest here. I enjoyed this beer. I think it's delicious. But it wouldn't be my go-to style of beer to get another one of, because I know what Adroit Theory comes out with, especially when they're stouts and all their barley wines and all that stuff. I'd probably get either an IPA or a stout from them. I've wanted to try their sours, so hopefully I'll get my hands on one of their sours eventually. But I'd probably go towards those before I get my hands on another one of these. This, to me, it wouldn't be one that I would continuously have stock in my fridge at home with, but overall, I'd buy one, and I'm happy with what I'm drinking, and overall, it's a great beer experience. If you're looking for a different style of beer, if you're into like possibly the fans of like a Bock or a kind of a more hoppier lager, this is definitely something that I would recommend getting your hands on for sure. But like I said, it's not my go-to style, so I probably wouldn't get another one of these if I got it in a flight. But let's see, what is my final rating on this guy going to be? for this being the first of this style of beer that I've ever had, and for it being kind of that, like, being in the realms of a lager slash Bock slash all those, like, old world German style kind of beers. Yeah, I think it's good. But I'm going to probably give this a solid between a 6.75 and a 7 out of 10. I'm probably going to get it with a 7. So overall, still really solid. If you can get your hands on this style of beer and you want to try something different, you like your lagers, but you wanted a little bit more of like a hoppier, kind of drier, herbal kind of bite to it, I think this is going to be right up your alley. So if you can get your hands on this one, if you're a fan of all those kind of flavor profiles in your beers, I think you would definitely really, really enjoy this one. So other than that, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. You guys are awesome. If you haven't yet, please hit that like button. It would help me out a lot. Also, if you're new to the channel and like what you see, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, along with that notification bell. It'll let you know when I ever go live, do another review. If you want to get your hands on stuff from Adroit Theory, you can go to the website. They ship to 48 out of the 50 states, I believe. I've gotten a lot of beers shipped directly from Adroit Theory if you want to try some of their stuff, and their prices are cheap. A lot of the stuff is pre-orders, though, so if you're going to be purchasing from Adroit Theory's website, you're going to be waiting a little bit just because the shipping and the pre-orders, they're a little bit low-staffed when it comes to in their shipping and all that kind of department, but that's fine. You'll eventually still get your hands on your beer. And I always recommend ordering from Adroit Theory. If you want to get your hands on what my opinion is beer excellence, Adroit Theory is the place to go, because can art, flavor the beer, always lives up to the expectations they give out. So I cannot say enough good things about this brewery. But other than that, like I said, Tavour is always going to be a good option when it comes to getting your stuff from Adroit Theory, as well as using their website. So if you want to get your hands on stuff from them from Tavour, you've heard me do the spiel about Tavour before. You download the app, you create your account, and they'll let you know right away if you can get stuff delivered to you from Tavour, just because they ship to more kind of suburban areas instead of rural areas, just because they take advantage of small carrier services. But other than that, last thing we got to say here is if you're a fan of social media and you're a fan of craft beer and you're not on Untapped yet, you are doing something wrong. I'm going to be straight up honest with you, because it's a fantastic platform. You can check in beers, get badges. The team over at Untapped has done some great things making that platform what it is today, and I can't say enough good things about Untapped as well. You can see people like me, Wintucky, Ian's on there, Face Meat's on there. So many people from this little beer community that we've created are on there, drinking beers, having a good time. It's just a really, really cool platform. So if you're on there and you haven't sent me a friend request yet, link to my profile is down in the description below for you guys. But other than that, I think that is what we have for you guys today. So again, thank you everybody in chat for hanging out. Thank you for everybody that's going to be watching the replay. And I'm going to end this like I always end it before we get the hell out of here. If you're going to drink responsibly. Don't drink and drive. And I'll see y'all next time. Cheers.